We live in a near permanent state of fight or flight, where survival takes priority and healing has to take a back seat. But true recovery happens when we slow down. That's when digestion improves, inflammation lowers, and the body begins to repair on a cellular level. Because healing isn't just about doing more, it's about allowing stillness and deep rest. The Light Room facilitates this. Make time to rest, time to heal. Your body knows what to do. Find us at thelightroom.ky or in Pasadora Place. We now offer full body red light therapy as well.
Hello and welcome to For the Health of It. I'll be interviewing Miss Patrice Lockhart. She is a certified menopause health and wellness coach and a Caribbean trailblazer, author of Menopause as You Metamorphose. Hello and welcome to For the Health of It, Miss Patrice.
Thank you, Tara, for having me.
Well, well, calling myself out, I am over 60, so I've been through menopause, and thankfully I'm done, with all of the symptoms, the hot flashes, the weight gain, the everything. But I also went through menopause or perimenopause a couple of other times before, like early menopause, because I had a surgery that threw me into menopause.
Surgical menopause, yes.
Yeah. That's a thing.
Oh, yeah. In fact, first of all, menopause is a natural transition in a woman's life. I tell women you're not broken. It's not a medical condition. It's a divinely designed transition. And for many of us, especially with me dealing with the women in the Caribbean, we have not been taught about menopause. So we don't even know, we suffer, I say, from the lack of knowledge. When a woman comes into this world, every baby girl, she comes in with what I call a basket of eggs. When she goes into puberty, that's when she has hair under her arm, she gets breasts, she gets pubic hair, etc. That's when a hormone, it's called estradiol, kicks in. And this hormone, I normally say, looks in, and I'm going to use you, Tara. Tara, when you were going into puberty, that hormone looked into your basket of eggs and said, Tara, I'm not going to let you go back to God with all of these eggs. You need my help. And so she kicked in and she said to you, but Tara, you weren't listening. She said, I'm only going to be here for about 33 years because that's the average amount of years we have eggs that we go through every month, and we have a period. Now, naturally, a woman her body goes into this menopausal transition in the 40s. In the early 40s, her body makes this transition. And for most of us, we don't even know when it begins. And I always use myself as an example. When I was doing my studies, I remember that in my early 40s, my period, all of a sudden, which was consistent all my life, started to move to the middle of the month. And I remember thinking, oh, that's strange. But that was it. I did not know my body had reached the last 8 to 10 years of eggs that were left in my basket. And when a woman has 8 to 10 years of eggs left, she goes into that menopausal transition called perimenopause. And when that hormone called estradiol looks in your basket and says, you only got a few more years of eggs left, I'm going to start making my exit. And when she begins, and I call her the estrogen hormone called estradiol, I call her because she's very much like women, very dramatic. So she begins to leave and she begins to lower. And this is when women begin to have these symptoms of menopause. Now, most women don't begin to, and I'm going to get to your question about the age, but I'm taking you through each part of menopause with the age. Most women don't begin to really feel the brunt of their symptoms until they reach mid to late 40s. And this is natural menopause now. And by this time, their hormones are declining and they have less and less eggs. By the time a woman reaches menopause, now globally, the age is between 51 and 58 that women stop bleeding. Depending on your culture or where you come from, it's different. For example, Latinos and Black American women tend to end their bleeding at 49. When I started here in the Bahamas, there was a group of women who ended at 40. But most of the women throughout the years, I'm finding they end between 51 and 54 years old. Now, a woman does not enter menopause until she's had 12 full months of not bleeding. Then she officially is in menopause. When this happens, that means that she no longer has no more eggs, and the estradiol hormone that has helped her from she went into puberty has packed its bag and it's gone. Her body, now that she's in what's called postmenopause, because menopause is really only one day, that's when her body is getting used to not having the support that that hormone had given her. This hormone and this women go into postmenopause and stay rather into postmenopause according to the global numbers until around 65. Most women, there are a number of things that happen in menopause that women don't realize. It's directly because of your estrogen, your hormone decline.
Thank you, Miss Patrice, for answering that question. Now, could I ask you if in your book you describe menopause as a metamorphosis rather than a medical problem? Can you explain what you mean?
Okay. When I talk about menopause being metamorphosis and not a medical condition, so many women think that something is wrong with their bodies. And I often tell them it's not a medical condition, it's just a natural transition that you're going through. It's a part of a woman's life cycle. But it's more than just the symptoms. Menopause affects a woman physically, emotionally, and mentally. And women tend to go through changes when they go through menopause.
What type of changes?
Let's just look at the brain, for example. Dr. Lisa Mosconi, who is the first neuroscientist who did brain scans and imaging on a woman's brain before and after, what it shows is that our brain goes through this. Menopause is not just a biological transition, but it's a transition for a woman's brain. And because of the connection of the hormone, the estradiol, the estrogen hormone that makes us a woman, when that declines, the woman's brain is impacted. That's why women, when it comes to their memory, they can't remember things. There's another part that affects the emotions. Women who can't sleep, it's because their brain is being impacted. But our brain, research shows, goes through kind of a metamorphosis where it kind of strips off a lot of unnecessary things. And by the time a woman gets into postmenopause, Her brain is more configured for creativity, for wisdom. It is crazy when you read the science behind what happens to our brain.
Okay. And are you saying it's normal for us to get that weird brain fog,
Oh, yes.
but then we become wiser after we get through it?
Yeah. Also, what happens is it's a time a woman needs to take care of her brain because her brain is going through a transition.
Mm-hmm.
There are parts of your brain that has been supported by these hormones all your life. And when they begin to go down and then diminish, the brain is impacted. And that's why it's important for women to understand to take care of your brain. Because one set of research shows that, especially the women who go through the more severe um, brain symptoms and or neurological symptoms, forgetfulness, the emotional swings, etc., those women tend to go and have or go into dementia and Alzheimer's because they didn't take care of their brain.
So how do you take care of your brain?
There are a number of ways you can. Omega 3. We have to be loading up our bodies with our brain with omega 3. And also learning new things. This is called neuroplasticity. And it's like exercising. It causes the brain to kind of go in the gym, even though it's going through what it's going through, but it creates what's called new neural pathways.
Mm-hmm.
And so when you're learning something new, you're taking on challenges, you're eating the right foods. All of this helps the brain through the process.
Okay. Is there a window that this is particularly important? Or can you just do it
Yes.
at any time?
Throughout the entire menopausal transition, a woman's body is going through so many changes from the beginning of a transition until the ending of the transition. And supporting her body because, again, the estrogen hormone that has been supporting the body for so many years in perimenopause has been declining. By the time you get to menopause and postmenopause, it's gone. And research shows that when we put what's called phytoestrogen back in our bodies, which is plant estrogen, our bodies act the same. And so these are some of the things that women need to do to be able to help themselves through the process.
So you would go to a doctor and get this prescribed?
Nah, unfortunately,
Mm,
most of our doctors have not been trained when it comes to menopause.
that's
In
true.
fact, that's why I am here. My menopausal transition is actually what brought me here. I went through a year of sleep issues, not being able to sleep. Then I went into 6 weeks of sleeping for under an hour to an hour. And by this time, my brain started doing crazy stuff. It was like when I shut my eyes, the old black and white TVs in that day, and back in the day.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
That's what that those black and white lines are what I saw and like bits and pieces of a movie.
Mm.
Then that happened for 6 weeks. Then that turned into day, then night, then day, then night, the day and night of not a wink of sleep. And by this time I was a mess. I didn't know what was going on. I was going through a lot even in my home. A family member literally had to come and take me and take care of me for 2 weeks. Um, it became a living hell. And the doctors weren't able to help me. And for 8 years, I went through severe menopausal symptoms, from those to heart palpitations, couldn't sleep, etc. And I went to 8 doctors in 8 years. Not one doctor was able to tell me I was menopausal.
How old were you?
I was about, it started about what, 42, 43. And how long now have I been doing this? I was in my, I guess maybe about by 50 or so. 'Cause yeah, I was about to say my age. uh, but yeah, it was about 50, I guess, that I was told what was going on with me. And by this time, it was a girlfriend. I thought I was having a heart attack in the night, so I called around too. And I was very afraid, thinking I was dying. And she said to me, Patrice, I don't know why you don't accept the fact that you're perimenopausal. And when she said it, uh, because I had been reading and reading and reading and reading, trying to find answers, um, I finally accepted it. And I had to go on a journey to help myself. And because of my journey, I realized that so many women had the same story as me, going to doctors wanting them to put them on antidepressants and not getting answers. And I decided, you know what, I'm going to study menopause. I'm going to certify to be able to help women.
Why do you think we in the Caribbean are a little bit more behind the times and there's some shame attached to going through menopause? No real open dialogue, you know?
Yeah. You know what? I did some research because that was my question. When I found out I was perimenopausal, and first of all, I thought it only happened to old women. So I thought it was impossible for me to be going through it. But I began to ask questions. I went to my mother. I went to a lot of older women. And what was interesting for me is that they were ashamed to talk about it. I would be in the salon and I would cause a whole conversation. Everybody's talking about menopause. And I realized one lady was saying, yeah, because it's embarrassing. And I was like, but why? I couldn't understand. And in my book, Menopause's Metamorphosis with a Butterfly New, I trace the history from the ancient times. Ancient times, older women were reverenced, and they were seen as mentors, spiritual guides, helping the generation to move to the next. But it began in the 16th century, I'm sorry, 15th century, where Hippocrates, who is the father of medicine, they believed that when a woman went into menopause, something was wrong with her ovaries. And when we go on to 16th, 17th, and 18th century, you see that there was a point that they thought that this was a time that women went crazy, so they put women in mental sanitarium. Then there was a time, and much of this history, women were looked at as though they didn't have any value to offer once they stopped reproducing. And as you look through the history, it was this time of a woman's life was seen as something, and especially back then because the physicians were males, women were disregarded and put aside. It is interesting. So it became a thing of shame. It became a thing of women feeling that their self worth had been finished. They're finished. And so today's woman, we're living the legacy that has been passed on to us, the silence, the taboo, the shame. And that's why our mothers and grandmothers and great grandmothers didn't tell us about this part of life that's so natural.
That's very interesting and, you know, so logical. You blend science, soul, spiritual, and
That's
cultural approach. How does
mhm.
this combination help women to through the transition?
Yes, because I do that because that's what happens with menopause. It's a biological thing that's happening. Our body is going through change, our brain is going through change, but also a woman's soul is impacted. Her emotions. So many women say to me, Patrice, I'm crying for no reason. I'm irritable. I'm this and that. And one of the things I find is that the women who are going through all of the very emotional aspect of menopause, these are women who have a lot of trauma and pain and disappointment buried inside of their soul that they didn't work out properly throughout the years. And then it's a spiritual time also. I find that women in the Bahamas, the Caribbean, America, when they get into the postmenopause state, this is the time of life they begin to ask questions about what is relevant for them, what is important, what they want to deal with now in life, what they don't want to deal with. Um, all of this makes up a holistic picture of the woman and her menopausal experience.
What practical steps can women take to feel more confident, energized, and healthy during menopause?
Okay, the practical steps. First of all, becoming educated about menopause. The biggest problem we suffer from as women, and this is a natural thing that's supposed to happen to us, is that we don't understand the entire menopause picture. And again, it's not just the biology part of it, it's what's happened to us. A lot of women lose their confidence and whatnot. So, educating yourself. And if I may talk about my book,
Sure.
okay, that's one of the reasons why I wrote the book. Because we are so not ready to walk into the transition. And so many things that happen to a woman's body we think is natural aging, but it has all to do with the decline of those hormones. From a woman starting to find that she's having high blood pressure and cholesterol, they are so intertwined with what's going on hormonally in the body. And so the book takes the woman through the menopause transition holistically.
Okay. We had talked in one of our questions about two questions back, or maybe three, about the doctors, not understanding, but how can they look at their doctor or change doctors, or what should they look for in a doctor to, get hormone replacement? And do you suggest that?
First of all, Again, menopause is not a medical condition. It's not a medical problem. It's a natural transition your body will go through. I have helped multiple women across the nations now deal with menopause naturally. It's understanding what's going on with your body and working with the body. When we're able to do that, we're able to help ourselves. And I've got women all over who will tell you that. They now understand what's going on. They understand when their hormones starting to feel low and they have to go back on the protocol, etc. Menopause is the time our bodies talk to us. We've not been used to listening. But during this time, when we begin to listen to the symptoms, what the symptoms in the body is saying, and then we learn to respond, women are able to better maneuver through menopause. My thing is natural. Go deal with menopause naturally. Now, some women choose hormone replacement therapy. I don't, because I've seen too much with it. But I tell women who do decide, I usually tell them, I want you to go onto Facebook, find some group, support group, who is taking what is being suggested you take. I want you to find out how women are doing 1 year, 2 years, 3 years, 5 years after taking it. Because that's going to be a picture of you, and you want to go into it making an intelligent decision.
Okay. Well, we're nearing the end of the interview. What would you like our listeners to hear, understand before you leave this interview?
So many women think they're going crazy. So many women think they're dying. And I have met women who, because they were going to doctors and the doctors didn't know what was going on with them, they'd begin to accept that narrative that I'm going crazy. And I've been able to help many, many women who now say, who said to me, my God, what if I had started that protocol, taking those antidepressants? What if? And now I feel so much better. These are the different comments I get. I want women to know it's a natural transition.
Okay.
But like everything else, you must educate yourself.
Okay. Well, Miss Patrice, we've reached the end of our interview. And you've been listening to me interview Miss Patrice Lockhart. She is a menopause wellness coach, and we are moving you to the life you want.
If you or your loved one is facing cancer, only Sylvester will stand firmly by your side at every step, from diagnosis through survivorship, providing you and your family peace of mind and assisting with everything you need before, during, and after your stay with us. Sylvester Comprehensive Cancer Center is South Florida's only NCI-designated cancer center and specializes in treating the most complex cancer cases. Your first-class cancer care is just a flight away. Learn more at sylvester.org.
When I first started going to Healthcare Pharmacy, it was because it was convenient. But over the years, I continued to shop there because I trusted them. One day I was picking up my prescription, and the pharmacist noticed an over-the-counter medication in my basket. She said, "I hope that's not yours. It will interact with your prescription." And I thought, wow, thank you. Trust is so important when it comes to your health. Healthcare Pharmacy, with 2 locations, Grand Harbor and Governor Square, where they care about my health.
In today's world, stress is a constant, and our bodies feel it. We live in a near permanent state of fight or flight, where survival takes priority and healing has to take a back seat. But true recovery happens when we slow down. That's when digestion improves, inflammation lowers, and the body begins to repair on a cellular level. Because healing isn't just about doing more, it's about allowing stillness and deep rest. The Light Room facilitates this. Make time to rest, time to heal. Your body knows what to do. Find us at thelightroom.ky or in Pasadora Place. We now offer full body red light therapy as well.
This is For the Health of It with Tara Bush. Brought to you by the Health Services Authority. Caring people, quality service. Visit hsa.ky.
For the Health of It with Tara Bush.
Brought to you by Healthcare Pharmacy, where they care about your health. 2 locations, Governor Square and Grand Harbor. Refill and transfer prescriptions online. Call 947-8900 or visit healthcarepharmacy.ky. Also brought to you by Cayman Medical Center, Cayman's most awarded private medical clinic.
And UHealth, International University of Miami.
World-class healthcare in the heart of Miami.
The Light Room, your holistic sanctuary for physical and mental restoration, repair, and rejuvenation. The power that made the body heals the body. 38 Pasadora Place, Georgetown. Find us online at www.thelightroom.ky or call 938-HEAL.
For the Health of